This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 453, holy cow, of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are HorseLovers.com and the Fairfield and North in Lexington, Kentucky. Anna Twinney stops by to teach us about the pros and cons of pole gentling. We take a look at why your horse is better than your ex. And HorseLovers.com product review is a pair of tall boots that's going to be reviewed by my wife, Jennifer. We'll find out about those coming up on today's show.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena. I got exciting news for everybody.
Good, me too. I want to hear yours first.
Okay, if you go to horseradionetwork.com/cruise, horseradionetwork.com/cruise, we have officially, as of Wednesday, posted all the details about the cruise, and rooms are already being booked.
Oh my God!
Yes, so this is the scoop. We are sailing February 12th, 2018. We are on the Royal Caribbean Enchantment of the Seas, which is a ship that's approved for you because it's much smaller. It's like one of their smallest ships.
Oh, good.
Out of Miami for 4 nights. We are going to go to 3 different ports. Day 2 is going to be Nassau, the Bahamas. I managed to track down Happy Trails Stables. That's in Nassau. It's one of the only trail riding places in that part of the Bahamas. Okay. Now, the problem is that they have only 6 horses, so they take 6 out for rides on the beach at a time, and they can do 2 rounds in the time that we're going to be docked there. So they will come pick you up at the port and bring you back, and you can do trail riding on the beach in Nassau. But there's
Tell
only...
me that link again, the URL. It's horseradionetwork.com/cruise. Okay.
So yeah, it's all listed on this page too, but it's going to be first come, first serve on that shore excursion to Happy Trail Stables because there's only 12 spots.
It is a little ship. I like it. It's perfect for me.
Yeah, well, I know you weren't going to go on a bigger one. This is literally a quarter of the size of the one Jennifer and I are going on next month. It's a quarter of the size.
Well, yeah.
But then this is not meant, there's ports every day, which is why they give you a smaller ship, because you're only on the ship to sleep. It's like a hotel. Yeah. You can stay on the ship during port, and a lot of people do, but we're going to some cool places like Nassau, Bahamas. There's a lot to do there. There's a lot to do there ocean-wise. There's a lot to do there touring-wise, and just a million shore excursions. Or you can just go explore yourself for free. Then they're stopping at Coco Cay in the Bahamas, which is Royal Caribbean's private island. All of these cruise lines have private islands, which means it's their own private beaches. You can get snorkeling, kayaking, boating, jet ski rentals, all kinds of cabanas, lounge chairs. You can hang around at the beach all day and drink. They have in-water bars. It's their own private island. So we love it when they stop at those, because you're not in with 20 other cruise lines, in port. So it's a little bit different, and it's more of a casual, laid-back day.
Okay.
And then the last stop is in Key West. So the last ports in Key West, Denise, our guest wrangler, and Leslie from Horse Nation are leading the pub crawl through Key West.
Oh, boy.
All day. So there you go. You don't have to do that, but you have the option of joining them. Go Spartacus pub crawl through Key West on the final day, and then back to Miami. So the prices are all listed there. What with the group, we got a little lower rate, and the prices include, usually when you book a cruise, there's your rate, and then there's gratuities, which are extra, and then there's taxes and port fees, which are extra. Our rate includes everything. So you pay that and you're on board. And of course, it includes all your food and entertainment. There's entertainment every night in the boat. The casino, it includes all of the amenities, including 3 meals a day. And, well, it's a cruise ship. You can eat anytime you want. But it's Royal Caribbean, so it's a little nicer than most of the cruise lines. It's the same one we're taking next week. We've appointed legacy listener Rhonda Crabtree as our HRN cruise director because she's been on about 50 cruises and also knows everything there is to know about HRN. So she's going to be answering questions for people who it's their first time cruising and they're not sure how to do it. We have a lot of those.
That would be me.
Well, and you know what? It's great to go your first time in a cruise with a whole bunch, dozens of people right?
Yeah.
That you have something in common with. There's a lot of husbands going to be along, and they're forming a little club already on the auditor page. So this is open to everybody, not just auditors. Go to horseradionetwork.com/cruise. We have a limited number of rooms, but we can extend it. We are going to be going to all our media partners. We're hoping to sell 100 cabins. I don't know if we'll get close to that, but if we could sell 100 cabins and have 200 people that are all horse lovers on the boat, and we all kind of know each other, we are doing a couple special things. This is not, there's been other cruises for horse people before, but they've all been educational. There's speakers all day long. Who wants to go on a cruise and sit in a meeting room all day? I don't. So we are going to do this. We're going to do a group hotel rate and meet up the night before sailing for anybody flying into Miami early. Okay. So we're going to do a get-together at hotel the night before, and then we're going to do a welcome meetup on board after, after we do, they tell you how to use you have a mandatory instruction on how to use the lifeboats and all that stuff. Right after that, we're going to do a group meetup where we'll welcome everybody, and that'll be before dinner, so everybody get to know each other and say hi. And then we are going to do 2 activities, the pub crawl led by Leslie and Denise when we hit port down there in Key West. Plus, one of the other days, we're working this out, we're going to do a horsey game show with lots of prizes. So we're going to do an hour and a half of a newlywed game, The Price is Right, and trivia, all kinds of games that people can win prizes.
Wow.
So that's something we're just doing ourselves on board. I don't care if there's 20 people or 100 people. We're going to play a horsey game show. It should be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yep. And if you come along the cruise, you have to be my co-host for the game show.
Sure.
So that's it. That's the whole story.
Is there a spa on board?
Yes, there's a spa on board. It has all the things cruise ships have. It has big pools.
I've never been on a cruise ship.
Oh, did you? I don't know if you looked at the pictures of the atrium. I mean, it looks like a Roman
I just found out about
Colosseum. If you go to that website, you'll see a couple of the pictures that I posted there of the atrium and the pool on deck and all different kinds. They have shows every night. This is something that it will keep you busy. People think there's nothing to do with a cruise ship. There's stuff to do every minute of every day on a cruise ship. But this one has a lot of ports of call. So for somebody that's new to it, it's a perfect opportunity.
Wow.
So that's it. That's our first annual Horse Lovers Cruise 2018. Head on over. You only need a $200 deposit to book your room. The rest, the travel agent will explain how that's all due. We're using Michelle at MEI Travel. They run all the big cruises for Disney's, all the Disney cruises and stuff. So they're well-versed in doing group cruises. And I have her contact information in there, her phone number. You just call her up, book your cruise, and I'm going to call right after the show today, actually.
All right.
Cool.
So that's all the details. We'll be posting more about it, and there'll be a link to it on the homepage of horseradionetwork.com and Stable Scoop and all the websites. But just go to horseradionetwork.com/cruise and book your room. Join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hang out with horse people for 4 days. And it's winter. Who doesn't want to go to Florida? Now, you do have to pay your own airfare to get to Miami, but who doesn't want to go to Florida in the winter and be in the Bahamas? So there you go. All right. Gotcha. Now, the other thing, what did you have to announce?
I'm working on, remember our guest from 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Tom Lewis of the Norfolk Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we are working very, very hard to see if we can't get a hunt route down here in Rhode Island.
You are working on it.
We are working on it. Yes, we went down and we have permission from one landowner who happens to own a gorgeous cow farm overlooking the Sakonnet River and the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So now we have Helena's doing some
So you're going to chase
sleuthing
cows
work.
for a couple hours?
Or what?
Are you doing cow chasing or yeah?
That would be kind of fun, actually. We tend to do that on foot around here when they don't respect their fencing. We do some cow chasing. We're not sure, but it's always a very scary thing when you approach a landowner and you ask them to allow 50 to 75 horses to go galloping across their land in one shot.
Yeah, I imagine the disclaimers and the releases are extensive.
Yeah.
For the landowner.
I learned a lot about landowner relations this weekend. And so we're really excited. We hope that we're gaining some traction down here and we can put together yet another route for the Norfolk Hunt Club. So cross your fingers.
Yay. Well,
we'll give you the play-by-play. It's a little reality TV, honestly, because, you can go peeking around people's properties, but we're talking like huge tracts of, huge for the Northeast, 30 to 100 acre farms that are totally private with an ocean view. Figuring out who owns these properties takes a lot of detective work. It's a good thing I know how to Google like nobody's business. And these people, they're really rich people. So nobody has their own properties in their names. It's always like such and such Realty Holdings LLC. They're all in these realty trusts. And so digging around to find out who the actual human being is behind these properties it's quite an undertaking.
And then trying to find contact information because they don't usually have their phone number published. So
Exactly. So that's what I've been focusing on in my spare time.
Look at you go. And not only that, another announcement. I was just happening to flip through my podcast the other day, and my podcasts all just line up, and I just go, okay, listen or not listen. And then I came to a certain one called That Newport Show, and I started listening, and it wasn't That Newport Show at all.
Nope. Surprise, surprise. We are subbing one episode every month with a new show. We're in the test phase. And the new show is called Around the Buoy. Yep, it's for boaties.
Which I still can't say.
I know. And don't. Don't, because we'll get into trouble again. Yeah, Around the Buoy. It's for boaties. So I recruited this super great guy. Oh my gosh, love him to death. His name's Carter Richardson.
He was really good.
And he is, check this out, he's a boatwright. That's a person who builds boats or ships or yachts. And yachting is not the muckety muck, uppity up, super luxury yacht thing that you think it is. A little boat, a little sailboat is often considered a yacht. And it's like a pony and a horse.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a pony and a horse, pretty much everything is an equine. Well, in boats, other than like those power boats that you take out fishing, like Boston whalers and stuff, pretty much everything is a yacht, especially if it's made of wood. And so then from there, so that's why boating is often referred to as yachting or the yachting life. So Carter happens to be a boatwright, and he went to this school, this International Yacht Restoration School. And basically what you learn there is how to build boats of wood by hand from scratch. Sailboats, classic cruising boats, little yachts. It's amazing. So the first episode talked about what it's like to build a yacht.
It was very good. It was a very good episode. I listened to the whole thing, and I really like him. And you got a co-host named Carter, so that's kind of cool too.
I know.
And he's a boat guy. I mean, it's got all the fixings right there.
So we compared notes. He was like, I said, the first time I went out ocean sailing, I got seasick. He's like, the first time I rode a horse, I got bucked off.
There you go. Perfect combination. No, I thought it was you two worked well together, and it was a very interesting show. The guy from the school was really good too. So it was I learned a lot. I learned a
Yeah,
lot.
and we're going to go to the gala this year and see Kool and the Gang.
Ah, I heard about Kool and the Gang. I'd go see Kool and the Gang.
Dude, their galas, last year's gala, you ready for this? Okay, so you know how everybody has like a fundraiser, right?
Yeah.
And it raises so much money for their nonprofit or whatever. Their gala raised over $1 million last year.
Okay, that's a little different than the Once in a Horse world.
Can you believe that?
Yes, I can. It's Newport, and they probably charge $5,000 a plate.
I don't know. We'll have to find out what they charge, but Kool and the Gang, that's, that'll work.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy. I really enjoyed the guest there. That was good. And so you'll find that on that Newport show, on that feed?
That Newport show, or you can go to sparkleandboom.com, which is where all of our podcasts are going to be living from now on.
Oh, cool. All right, good.
Yep. Either one.
Well, before we get to our first guest, before we bring Anna on, I found this on Horse and Hound. And, I don't think it's any secret that Helena went through a breakup and a divorce a couple of years ago and now is happily remarried. And we've all had exes in our life, right? But I think that some of the women in the audience are going to relate to this Horse and Hound article I found called The 12 Reasons Your Horse is Better Than Your Ex. Now, I think most of them would argue there's more than 12, but that's what they went with. This was written by Gemma Redrup. And I have to, every time I read a Horse and Hound article, I kind of have to, one, I have to close all the thousands of pop-up windows. And two is I have to kind of correlate it to American because it's very British. But
yes,
all right, you want to hear it?
Let's
see if you can relate to a few of these, okay?
Okay.
The money you spend on your horse is now or is 100% more justifiable than the money you spent on your ex. So, yeah, that's probably true of all of us. I had a few exes. I had one very expensive ex. I had money before that ex and didn't have money after the ex. So that was before Jennifer. And, of course, Jennifer always says, oh, yeah, I got you when you didn't have any money, when she spent it all. So that was... a long time ago. How about number 2? Your horse doesn't call you in an inebriated state at 3 a.m. telling you how much he loves you.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he colics. That's what he does. So he doesn't call you, just colics, and you have to call the vet, and it ends up costing you a fortune. I don't know if I'm buying that one. I think I'd rather have the drunk I love you call than the expensive colic call.
This is true.
Or your horses get out and you hear them running around outside your bedroom window.
Oh, my God.
No,
or the knock on the front door where nobody ever comes to your front door unless your horses are in the road.
We've had that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 2's bogus. Number 3, you don't have to doll yourself up after riding your horse each evening prior to your boyfriend or girlfriend coming around for supper. Who does that?
I don't know.
No horse girl I know.
You know what? My equivalent of dolling myself up is pulling the hay out of my bra at night.
There you go. That one's bogus too. Okay, Horse and Hound. You don't have to cater to your ex's high protein diet anymore. The money you save on steak means you can now. Well, wait a minute. I think my horse has a more high expensive diet than I do.
Yeah.
You know the price of hay down here in Florida. I think our horses are eating pretty good down here.
That's true.
I'm calling number 4 bogus too. You no longer have to argue your case about how going to a dressage competition at the weekend is far more important than spending quality time with your ex.
No argument there.
Yeah, I don't think we can argue with that one. You can finally wash your horse's entire rug bandage collection in a washing machine at home without getting an earful. All right, you're not allowed to wash your outside crap in the house. That's just the way it is. That is a correct thing for a horse husband to be complaining about.
Yes, and you know what? That's because it breaks everything. It clogs everything up.
It does.
So I just sneak my stuff into the local laundromat.
Which you're not supposed to do either, but most of them.
I know. You just roll it up in a comforter.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
And don't ever use the comforter on your bed.
Because you try and sneak it into the house washing machine. If your husband does wash it all, like I do a lot of the wash, you cannot get that hair out. It takes 12 washings to get that hair out. So I'm going to know.
All right.
I'm going to know.
I do most of the wash in my house, so I can sneak it in if I have to. And if I do sneak it in, it's usually, you know what I usually wash in my washing machine is the fly sheet because it's got blood on it all the time.
Ugh.
Right? From the horse flies biting the horses. Right? And in that case, the dirt is what's a problem. You know, all this roll in it in their summer fly sheets.
Jennifer
And
has figured out now.
every once in a while a saddle pad, but not in the winter when their hair or, when they're shedding.
Jennifer has figured out now if she does sneaks a load of wash into like that, she always runs it empty once. And then it clears it out, a little bit of bleach and run it empty, and then all of a sudden I don't notice. See?
Yeah.
Okay, you can now go to that 3-day event you were planning instead of using up valuable holiday time to go on a pointless, although far less exciting mini vacation. Unless you're going on a cruise with us, and that's different.
Right.
Your horse doesn't judge you for spending 5 days camping in your horse box at a show. In fact, he thinks it's pretty cool, and you should do it more often. 5 days is a long time in a
5
trailer.
days is a long time. A 3-day weekend would be all right with me.
Yeah, it's a long time without a shower. You don't have to meet your horse's parents before you commit to each other. That's a good one. Nor do you have to meet the questionable friends.
No, but there is the thing called the pre-purchase exam.
Or if you're boarding the boarders, other boarders.
You should. We should vet each other out before you bring your horse into a stable.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
We always did. Jennifer would always go hang around for a while and see what's there.
I'm going to start a Match.com for horses and stables.
That's a good idea, actually.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
Ask, what's that one that asks you 55 questions? They have those commercials with the guy sitting behind the desk. We ask you 55 questions to match you with the perfect. That one. You need that. You need 55 questions.
I didn't even know that kind of thing existed.
It's there. They do commercials all the time. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't watch enough TV. Honestly, I should watch more TV. I'm so out of it.
Your points of compatibility. Your horse can never talk back. Bliss. I argue with that one too. That one's crap. My horse talks back all the time.
Yeah.
You can get your horse's testicles removed if he starts being naughty. Sadly, this service isn't available for your ex-boyfriends.
It is on the DL.
Yeah,
I know a guy
I'm
who
going
knows
on.
a guy.
That one makes me uncomfortable. Your horse loves you just the way you are. Hay and hair, mud under the fingernails, and won't mention anything when your breeches appear to be getting a little tight.
And that's the man I married.
Yeah?
He's just like my horse.
Yeah? He doesn't mention your tight breeches?
Only other than to say how cute they are.
I was going to say mentioning tight breeches is a good thing.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, depends. That butt looks good in breeches. I'm going to mention it. For Jennifer, I probably wouldn't mention it for somebody else, but I do want to.
Boys just can't help themselves. You know what? There are a lot of boys out there, and I say boys because even in your 50s, boys are boys.
Yeah, I'm still 16.
They just can't help themselves.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
They're wired differently.
Well, thank you to Horse and Hound. I think they got about half of those right. We'll give them half.
Okay.
We're going to head off to next. We're going to head over to one of our good friends, been on the show many times. She's a horse trainer. She's a horse gentler. She has been around a long time. She's an animal communicator. We've had that conversation with her in the past. Her name is Anna Twinney, and she's coming on right after we hear from Fairfield Inn. Fairfield Inn and Suites North by Marriott Lexington is the ideal hotel for you, as they are the closest hotel to the Kentucky Horse Park. They have the most spacious guest rooms and suites in the area, and they're only 4 miles from downtown Lexington. Fairfield Inn and Suites North offers complimentary breakfast, free Wi-Fi throughout the hotel, free parking, a business center, an indoor swimming pool and jacuzzi, an outdoor patio with grill, laundry facilities, and much more. You get hungry, Cracker Barrel is located right next door, and there are 4 other dining options available within walking distance for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Of course, Lexington is known for the Kentucky Horse Park, University of Kentucky, Keeneland, and the historical Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Enjoy a terrific hotel experience while you're touring Lexington. There's no denying that the Lexington North Fairfield Inn & Suites is the best value in town and will meet all your hospitality needs. Just Google Fairfield Inn North Lexington and make your reservations today. Well, Anna is back with us. It's so good to have you back again.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always interesting to see what you guys are up to, and especially the growth of all the radio shows, and that just means that people are more and more interested not only in the horse world but also certain aspects of it, right? Including today's conversation.
That's right. And we're going to have, I was thinking about it the other day, and this has been a long time, years now. We have a best of show coming up in May because we're going on vacation. And I'm going to put in the episode that you and I did about animal communication.
Fantastic.
Because it's been almost 4 years since we did that.
Wow.
I know. But it was such a good episode, and I think it was an important episode, too. So I'm going to play that one in May. Yep. We'll replay that.
I'd love that.
Yep.
I'd love that. We could do an episode on animal communication for the skeptics at some point.
Well, that was me, pretty much. So
okay, we've covered that.
Yeah, I think we covered that one. All right, now let's talk. Today we have listener request, and that's why we have you on. And it was funny because Mary Kitzmiller hosts a show with us once a month on Horses in the Morning, and this conversation came up in our auditor room. Somebody asked about pole gentling. And they asked Mary about it. Mary said, talk to Anna. She'll know all about this topic. So this comes from Mary to you is how this ended up.
Perfect.
So now I don't even know what it is, so you better give us the 101.
All right. The 101 allows us to go back a little bit, and it may go back 10, 20, 30 years, and for some actually the current time, as to how we would approach, how we would put a first touch on, how we would connect, communicate, gentle, and untouched and untamed, a wild horse or a Mustang. So anybody there that you look at, maybe the horse doesn't want to be caught, or truly they are a Mustang, or they're a Premarin foal, or indeed a tribal foal, i.e. Native American horse. And all of these come under the pole gentling. So once upon a time, many, and still today, would either rope the wild horse. It's a common practice to do that, either in a gentle, kind way, but on the sliding scale all the way up to roping till they choke them to unconsciousness. And then there's other practical ways to put horses in chutes. And that's a common gentling technique as well. So especially if you're teaching novices or people that are not familiar with untouched horses, you can put a horse in a chute, so it's like a squeeze chute, and contain them to put a first touch on, and in a way desensitize, stroke, flood them. So for me, it was all about the communication, going at the speed of the horse, and maybe on times pushing it just a little bit more, but if there's time constraints. But the pole comes in there. It's one of multiple techniques that I use. One would be classed as advance and retreat, so that's approach and release. One is pole gentling. I actually do water gentling as well in extreme cases. But the pole gentling means that if the horse is loose, so if they're in a 24 by 24 pen, or if they were in a round pen, small paddock, picadero, and there's no way to create a chute, you're not familiar with roping, or indeed these aren't the methods of choice, then the pole comes in. And it may be a bamboo pole, it may be a whip in effect, so a whip where you've got a little rubber handle. So anything that creates space between you and your horse. So that's the first piece. Now I can go on and explain why it's effective, but hopefully for those that are not understanding what it is, it gives you a vague picture to realize there's a huge amount of communication involved, because we're not looking at driving the horses. They're not being chased in any shape or form. And I'm not an advocate of driving wild horses. I feel like they would run until they can run no more. I have experience in that. And so the pole also allows a form of desensitizing and space between the two, so less pressure.
What are you doing with the pole? I don't think I'm quite grasping.
Yeah. So envision this. The pole could be in your left or right hand, just depends on what you want to do. There's a huge amount of body language, so you're approaching horse just like you would with advance and retreat, so finding the energetic bubble. The pole becomes an extension of your arm, but not in a familiar way where people are used to tapping the horse on the butt or indeed driving them. I'm not really looking for that. It's actually quite the contrary. A wild horse will flee, so they run, or if you take away the flight, they will indeed fight. So they could strike or go and charge it or bite it. So what we're looking at first would be movement around that wild horse, to say, okay, can you accept movement when I move my shoulders? And you're communicating with teaching them to face up. So when they look at you, retreat. When they put the neck towards you, retreat. Now, what the pole allows you to do is create that space to say, okay, I'm finding it very difficult to get closer. So I cannot get within 3-4 feet because the bubble of that horse, that energetic bubble, so their spatial boundary is 3 to 4 feet. Well, that allows the pole to come in. And it truly is an extension of your arm to say, well, what if I put it here? May I put it here? And instead of having the full amount of the body, like the person's body, 150 pounds or 200 pounds of mass, you've literally got a smaller item creating space between you and your horse. This is one way to look at it.
Let me stop you there for a second and understand the situation. So this is when a young horse is too close to you or not allowing you to get close enough to use your body effectively?
This is a horse that's never had human interaction. So the Premarin foals have only had negative human interaction. The Mustangs have only been chased ultimately by helicopters and either born in captivity or cowboys. So every first interaction has become complicated and unkind at best. And so the pole means we've got an untamed horse, an untouched horse, an abused horse, or, wild horse, Mustang, etc. So it allows space between the two for the first touch. So if that horse wanted to run away, they can. They can move around in the picket area or pen or round pen. They can move, but it's far less pressure if you've got a smaller pole and the mass, so the body of the person is a further distance away.
Further
this
away.
Isn't
Okay,
the only thing, though. Yeah.
So you're essentially you're softening the aid or the presence of the person
is this the same thing as I've seen them where they have this pole or it's on the end of a stiffer whip or whatever, but they actually put a fake hand like a Mickey Mouse hand, the little Mickey Mouse white glove hand, and they'll use that to touch them for the first time. So it's kind of that same concept.
Yeah, let me elaborate on that. One is a pole, and so it could be the same size as a lunge whip if it bends a tad, but you can keep the stiffness within it. And the other one would be a hand that actually we have too in Reach Out to Horses, and it's a hand with a sleeve on it and a glove. Here's the thing. The horse will actually choose. So they're going to be fearful of both to a point, and you're hopefully desensitizing. Sometimes the pole is more effective because it's a greater distance, but sometimes it's less mass touching them, so they prefer the pole. They can indeed be more frightened of the extension of the arm, so the arm with the glove on the end. So you can literally pick and choose your tool to say, this one's effective here, and you'd never get the one with the glove, because probably 9 out of 10 either don't need that or are more afraid of that than the human being, because they can tell that there's no blood moving through that arm and it's exceedingly fake. So they could be more rigid and more concerned with that than they would the reality of the person approaching. So there is a degree of desensitizing involved with both, where you may move around the pen, sit with the horse and share space, share the food, i.e. you're sat there when they're eating, so they get really comfortable with your presence. There's many stages, in my opinion, leading up to this. So this isn't about just grab a stick and then wave it around. You could create a huge issue where the horse is jumping through the pen, trying to escape from you. Best case scenario, they're settle in. Worst case, they're going to do severe damage to you or themselves. So there has to be a skill level involved with the pole gentling in order to support them. See, if you put them in a chute, they can't move their feet. With a pole, they can. So you could be training them to run away from you if you're not good with this. So the pole also allows you to direct the feet, and you could put it way ahead. Like in your right hand, if the horse is facing right, pole's in the right hand, you can begin to direct the feet with the pole. So block them, stop them, turn them around, block them, stop them. And what we're looking for is a slowing down of the feet versus a picking up of the feet and speed. And the pole can actually direct the feet in a far more subtle, gentle and kind way than maybe the body even, because of course following the hand comes an arm and then a body, but if you have the pole, it creates further space, so less pressure between the two.
What other kinds of tools are out there that people have used that would compete with the pole, and then why do you think the pole is better than those other tools?
All right, so the other tool could be a true whip like we see people using, and I'd be mindful of that and careful of it, because there's a time to use something because the horses have never experienced it, so it's first impressions. If you're looking to create the fear in it, that's incorrect. And that could be an implied intent of picking up a whip. If, for example, an adopted Mustang has had somebody that is not comfortable or experienced gentling Mustangs pick up a whip, there's going to be fear surrounding it, and it's a learnt behavior pattern. And so if that horse is coming in as a remedial horse who's never been touched, the whip may not be great for the fact that there's fear, and it's fear-induced. So, first impressions isn't, okay, I'm going to desensitize you to that and change your mind and change the way you're thinking and change your experience. No, let's pick up something else. I also think with the rope, there's going to be the time of throwing that rope, doing the lasso, and there's a high amount of adrenaline involved with that. And you're capturing them. So no matter what people say, you're capturing them. So you've taken away the voice and the choice. So yes, you can get them to face up sooner, and you're going to be putting the rope, even if it's loosely around the neck. So there is a place for it. But at the same time, you've taken away their freedom. The pole is not taking away the freedom. Now, arguably people are going to go, well, you've got them in a round pen or a pen. Let's start with the fact that all things considered and all things equal, we're coming in on equal terms in that round pen. Of course, that horse didn't
I would argue
that,
that you're coming in on not equal terms because they could kick your face in much easier than you're going to kick theirs in. So it's not really
but they're
equal.
A flight animal.
Right.
They're a prey species. So the equality I mean by that is they're captured. They don't have a choice to be free. So let's come in equal, meaning I'm not going to hurt you. That's my promise to you. You're not going to hurt me. That's our joint promise. And I'm going to push you maybe and magnify your purpose so you learn coping skills. I'm going to do that, but I'm never going to ask them something they cannot achieve. That's the thing. So the difference between the pole and the rope would be you've already stepped over that mark. You've controlled the feet, you've taken away the liberty, and you've already made yourself the leader and the one in charge. The pole, it's skill-based. Understand that. It's skill-based.
Well, I think all of this is skill-based pretty much, too. You can think about it.
Okay. Let me qualify skill. I mean skill on communication, meaning we're looking at energy, we're looking at the way we interact, and the skill is you don't have a rope to pull them to you. You don't have a rope to keep them off of you. So that would mean it's skill-based on asking them to volunteer and also acknowledging the try without having taken away the liberty. That's what I'm talking about today.
It's very interesting that you're on today because I was at Road to the Horse a couple of weeks ago, and it was all female trainers for the first time this year. And 3 of the 4 were cowgirls. Who were used to working actually ranches, and they all used a rope in some way, shape, or form when they were doing the initial contact. One was Vicky Wilson out of New Zealand, who didn't know how to do a lasso if her life depended on it because she's an English rider and trainer. She had trained Mustangs and wild horses in Australia and New Zealand before, but it didn't have any of the skills of cowgirl. She was the first one ever to use an English saddle. She did what you're talking about. She used kind of a lunge whip, but she did what you're talking about with pole gentling. That's how she accomplished the goal, which was different than the others. She ended up winning, by the way, and amazingly, by the way, it was just amazing to watch her. But she did more this method than the others used ropes because there's such a short period of time. They were trying to move things along, but it was interesting to watch that difference.
And precisely that. The other one's going to move it along because you've taken the horse's liberty. So you've advanced forward. The pole, although that horse still is going to be directed by the pole, and you can stop them and shut them down and ask for forward motion, you can actually begin to teach them cues to go with the forward, with the stop, with the slow. So there's an integration of body language, but there's also the cues. There's more of a voice. So for me, that's a higher stroke different skill level because I'm all about giving a voice to the voiceless and giving a choice. See, I want the horse to want to be with me. And although we're pressing it by putting them in a round pen or we're under pressure because of the time pressure, there's still the acknowledgement of the try versus holding them in a certain space. So it's awesome. And I'll tell you what, I did not learn pole gentling from anybody. It was original. I had to find my own way gentling Mustangs doing that. That was not something that was common in the 1990s. And so as a female in the industry, one, I I'm not fond of the shoots. But two, it was a matter of how do you really direct them? How do you communicate with them? How do you connect with them? And yes, if we've got all the time in the world, this could take a week or a month or longer, a year. But we don't always have all the time in the world. I have 7 days to gentle the Mustangs, and either they're going to get adopted or they return to where they came from. Some cases, the BLM and the holding pens, and some cases that might be the tribe, etc. So if I can get them adopted,
so you're kind of doing a road to the horse every time, in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Except we have 7 days because
Right.
I'm teaching other students to do it. So we won't just have an hour or two. We have multiple hours for 7 days. And out of 10 horses, if you look at it like this, out of 10 horses, maybe 8 will get halters on and 2 won't because they're simply not ready.
Wow. Anna, you would have loved this too. I actually thought about you. We were doing the coverage from there, doing the play-by-play for the weekend, and I thought about you because of Vicki Wilson being down there. It was so different to watch her. She's also a Grand Prix highest level in New Zealand show jumper. And she loves doing chiropractic with her horses. And she, an hour into day 1 of training of this untouched quarter horse, was giving this horse a treatment on its neck. And you should have seen the horse relax after she was done. The horse, let her do it. That was one thing. But then he just softened immensely right after that. And it was a whole different horse. It was the first time that had ever been seen in a competition like that. And, it took her a little bit of guts to attempt it. But this horse complied and went with it and said, okay, I trust you at this point. And the horse was just a more relaxed horse after. And she said later, I saw the horse had an issue and I addressed the issue. And then we got over that. That wasn't an issue anymore.
I applaud her. I applaud her because she's under pressure, and that shows you that she's not being compromised by the event, but in fact staying in her integrity. It's huge because you take away the pain of the horse, the association is going to be a fond association. So you really don't want to start horses under saddle until they've been assessed by the chiropractor, because you cannot put pain with pain, i.e. a saddle on the horse and a rider. If they're in pain, they're going to have to respond. But if you've eliminated the pain, now they're purely dealing with the emotional, mental, psychological effect. So she did that. She took the pain away. She's put the saddle on. There's going to be a fond association and no pain associated with colt starting. It's a huge aspect of it.
Very cool. Where can people, I know you have some DVDs and things. Where can people, do you have DVDs, one on this topic? And
I do.
Okay. Where can they find those?
So two things on it. They can find it on the Reach Out to Horses website, and it's called Whispers from the Wild Ones, in support of our wild horses here. And it shows how to gentle through advance and retreat, through pole gentling, through water gentling, etc. So it's a really cool wild horse DVD. What I'd like to say to you, if we have any non-profits listening, we are giving that DVD away to non-profits. We have X amount still available to non-profits, and it's our gift. And I spend a lot of time sending it out to holding facilities, to the BLM, to non-profits, etc., in support of the Mustangs. So that's our way of gifting it forward and to help people in non-profit situations. In addition, we have a foals-in training DVD, which is geared towards weanlings, and it will have, it's a fly-on-the-wall DVD with 5 untouched foals, Premarins actually, and it may show more of the advance and retreat versus, I think there's only one with a little bit of pole gentling, and Helena touched upon it, like safety, and that would be the only other aspect we haven't addressed, which is if I've got somebody a little bit more dangerous, or if they've had a bad experience with a human, they may get into that fight response. And for me, taking that pole in, I would never use it inappropriately, but what it can do is you could just lift it up. So if you were charged, or for example, they see the first touch as unpleasant, that it's more than a fly, they can't get rid of it, they want to bite it, they actually bite the pole versus your hand. If they get aggressive because they feel it's too much, and not everybody can work at the speed of the horse, it's not always possible, then they can actually take out their emotion on the stick more. Not that you'd ever touch them inappropriately, hit them, smack them, nothing. It's purely there as a shield. And then that allows you to think about your next move, adjust what you're doing, slow down, desensitize, etc. And there's a little bit on the Foals in Training DVD on that with a little fellow called, I think he was named Guinness, and he was a little tricky with the first touch, and he wanted to bite it to go, what is that? Get that off me. And the pole can be very helpful for that. So you don't have to take the bite with the card. You actually have something else that can be effective with it. So for me,
Guinness will do that to
many
people,
reasons.
Anna. Guinness will do that too.
it will bite you.
Yeah,
bite you
right.
in the butt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anna,
so yes.
well,
Yeah,
and it's
go ahead.
all at reachouttohorses.com. And then also, before we run out of time here, I wanted to mention you're traveling a lot here coming up. You're heading out for a clinic. You're heading up to Washington State and then to Colorado. And then I see in May you're going to be in the UK and then back to Colorado.
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
I'm all over the place, and for those that have either found a roadblock or are interested in this, we're doing the foal gentling in Oregon with the Warm Springs tribal foals, and so there will be all of what we've talked about in August, first week of August, and then we're going to be in California, in Shingletown at the Wild Horse Sanctuary, gentling untouched Mustangs, also in August 14th to the 20th. So this is geared towards anybody that wants the adventure, anybody that has foals or wild horses at home, anybody that wants to expand on their horsemanship skills. These two courses, they're 7-day courses. They're very intensive. They're amazing. And we watch wild horses. We'll learn about nutrition, learn about a little bit of healing, different styles, different approaches. And so it's a fantastic opportunity for people to attend and learn more.
Sounds terrific. Well, thanks, Anna, once again for joining us. Reachouttohorses.com.
Always learn something
Thank you,
from Anna.
guys.
Thanks.
All right.
I so appreciate you having me. Thank you both.
Up next, my favorite segment of the Stable Scoop Show. It's the Tack and Habit segment, sponsored by horselovers.com. And this week, we have a product that's going to be reviewed by my favorite person in the whole wide world, Coach Jen. Hi, Coach Jen.
Me too.
I don't know.
by the way.
Favorite person in the whole wide world. That's a lot of pressure.
Me too.
Oh, no, it's easy. It's easy. You got it. Well, you're okay. Let's put it this way. You're one of my top 4.
Well, that's better anyway. That's better. Thank you.
Okay. And you guys rotate depending on how often I talk to you.
Depending how I pick on her that day.
And how clean your room is. So you have some new tall boots that you're going to review. I desperately need a new pair of tall boots, so I'm going to live vicariously through your review. What do you got?
Okay. I got the Dublin Holywell field boots. We're not sure if it's Holywell or Hollywell, but it's spelled Holywell, like holy well. I feel like Robin every time I say that. Holy well, Batman. and that's actually what I said when I got them, and they fit the first try, because you know how it is when you try, buying tall boots through the mail, a little dicey.
Yeah, because they got the foot, the width, the calf. I mean, so much can go wrong with tall boots.
So much can go wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of options there. But I measured twice.
Okay.
And wrote it down. And also, I felt reasonably confident of the foot size because I've been wearing Dublin paddock shoes for years.
Okay.
And love them. So I felt pretty confident about what foot size I would wear. So I measured very carefully with breeches on, like they tell you to on the website. And I checked and triple checked the size chart. And I ordered them, and they are exactly the size they said they'd be.
Well, they do offer a lot of combinations. So in every foot size, you can get slim, regular, wide, tall type of thing, regular. So I'm glad that you got a good fit. First of all, they're fancy because they have that trendy new Spanish top line, right?
Yeah, they're much higher on the outside of your calf than on the inside.
Yep.
And they have the little tab, and the tab is sewn down, thank you very much, so it doesn't flap. That drives me crazy. But they put a little tiny gusset on the inside of the boot, but you can't see on the outside of the boot. So that tall Spanish top doesn't stick out. It used to stick out so far you could like tuck your gloves into the top of your boot all the time.
Yeah.
Which wasn't any good. But they put that little gusset in there so it stays close to your leg, which was nice.
Okay.
For a pair of boots that cost considerably less than $250, only $219.99, very nice fit. The first time I wore them, we went out for a ride at the horse park, and we were out there. I put them on. We drove over. We did all of our thing. We rode for about 2 hours, wore them home in complete and utter comfort. So I was really surprised at how easily they broke in for such an inexpensive pair of boots. I really expected them to be kind of hard and crunchy and uncomfortable.
They were whining free, Helena. No whining at all.
Nope.
So the zipper is in the back, I presume?
Zipper is in the back.
Okay.
It feels like a nice sturdy zipper, and it goes all the way to the heel. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at your Achilles tendon like some of them do.
Thank God. Yeah. So you can slip your foot in horizontally instead of having to point your toe down like a ballerina.
Yes, it goes all the way down, and it has the spur rest on either side of the zipper.
Okay.
So you still have a spur rest there, which I appreciate. I like having a spur rest.
And do I see a zipper pull?
There is a substantial zipper pull, so it's easy to get up.
Okay.
And then it's got two little snap flappers, one at the heel and one at the very top. So the one at the heel keeps the zipper clean so it doesn't get full of gunk.
Okay.
Like on your horse gunk. And then the one at the top has a little cover on it so that the zipper pull cannot accidentally poke up and poke your saddle and put scratches all over it.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a little bit tricky because it used to be when you had the cover at the top with just a little piece of leather that snaps over top. It was just a little piece of leather. Well, now they have it's almost like a buttonhole that you stuff the tab through and then close it. So not only can the tab not scratch your saddle, it will discourage the tab accidentally sliding down if your boots are a really snug fit, which you know how zippers are. If they're tension at the top, they want to pop open.
Yep.
So if they're really tight at the top, they might want to do that, and that could discourage it. But that was a little bit of a pretzel act to get that done. Yeah. I think I'm inclined to just not bother using I'll just close it and forget the little buttonhole thing. I don't care.
Yeah. Anything that has to be fit inside, anything that can't be totally strong armed.
Exactly.
You can't pound it to make it work. Just doesn't. If you have to use finesse, forget about it.
Yeah. Maybe somebody younger and more flexible wouldn't have any trouble with it.
Right. So what is this? What's this? I see that there's some kind of stretchy panel in there.
There is an elastic on either side of the zipper that you really can't even see because I don't know what you call that, the little flaps that cover up your zipper. I don't know what you call that. You really can't even see it. But if you look on the inside of the boot and peer carefully, there's a little tiny bit of elastic the entire length of the zipper.
Okay.
Which is perfect because you want them to fit really snug on your calf, but it gives your calf the ability to breathe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They did something interesting, which since you were thinking about getting a new pair of boots, what you wanted to get to do dressage and things like this, the inside aspect of the boots, where it lies against your horse, is full grain doubled leather, but the outside is single grain, so it's nice and soft, but the inside edge is not going to wear out uber fast. Makes sense?
Amen.
You buy really expensive boots. They're super glove soft and you love them. But if you ride a lot, that inside calf wears out in a hurry.
Yeah.
But that part is 2 layers of leather which have been somehow or another bonded. So it's sturdy. It's not going to wear out. You're not going to get a rub mark. You're not going to get a wrinkle, which I have had happen with really expensive thin boots, which are gorgeous. But I've had that happen where the inside of the boot, where your calf touches the flap of the saddle, and you have that pinch point where your stirrup leather is. I've had boots that will get a wrinkle there because the leather is so thin, and these aren't going to do that.
Yeah. Now, what about the soles? See, I'm always really the soles are important to me, and I want them to be thin, but not papery thin where they're not substantial. What are these like? And I like a little grip on the bottom, honestly.
They are a modern rubber type sole, like you would see on a modern boot. They're not the old fashioned leather ones. They're not slippery at all.
Okay.
But they don't come up and wrap around the boot like an Ariat sole does.
Okay.
Like they're stitched onto the bottom. I don't think it's stitching. I think it's bonded on there, but it looks like a stitched sole, even though it's the rubber.
Yep.
And they're a soft enough rubber that you walk on concrete. You don't go click, 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 which I appreciate. I hate to sound like a horse when I walk across the concrete. And they have all of the Dublin boots are made with the stirrup. They have a rigid inside to the sole so that it gives your foot support.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't wear, because like when you wear sneakers to ride in, shame on us. The sneaker is completely soft on the bottom, so it really doesn't give the arch of your foot any support. Your feet get tired really fast.
Yeah.
Unlike really inexpensive cheap boots that don't have that, they have that stability system in them to help reduce fatigue in your foot, which was nice.
And what about firmness or flexibility in the ankle? My ankles tend to get fatigued if my boot's too stiff down there, even when it is fully broken in. You know how sometimes they can break in with a certain amount of thickness at the ankle?
Yep.
That can really just tire me out quickly.
I would say these are soft and flexible as I would expect a pair of modern field boots to be. They don't have a clunky stovepipe kind of a feel like a dress boot typically would.
Yep.
They're because the leather around the ankle is not that double thickness. So I was very pleased with how flexible they felt. Now there's a zipper there, which requires some extra amount of material to create that sturdy zipper. So it's going to be a little bit stiffer probably than a boot that you're going to pay $600 or $900 for. But I was pleased with it. I wasn't going, oh, can't walk in these anymore. I'm going to get blisters on my feet.
Yeah.
Which I have had, I've had happen. I spent a half a day in them and was pretty comfortable. Now, if the better the boot fits your foot, the less likely that's going to happen. That's as much a thing of fit. So that part I liked. The one thing I would change if I was to change anything on these boots, they come with the elastic laces, which is all the rage now. So you don't have to ever lace them up or tie them. I will probably replace that with real laces because that's the way I am.
Okay.
And I would probably add one more pair of eyelets towards the center, because at the center they notch out a little tiny V in the front.
Okay.
In the boot, so that when you put your heel down when you ride, that V can close and reduce the chances of something rubbing on the front of your ankle. Make sense?
Yes.
But the eye loops are far enough apart that there's a little tiny gap there, probably about the size you could put a pencil into, which just makes me a little crazy.
I know that gap.
One more eye loop would have changed that.
I know that gap.
It
makes
does.
me crazy too.
Well, good. If, for $200 boots, I will say this: they don't look like $200 boots on.
No,
they actually
very nice
look
finish.
Much
very
like
nice finish.
$400 boots.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they look like $800 boots, but they definitely look like $400 to $500 boots on. I couldn't tell the difference. And I've tried a lot of boots on women over the years from having the tack shop. That was my job, trying boots on women. And believe me, that is not a fun job. But that's it. Dublin ladies, Hollywell tall field boots. You can find them at horselovers.com for $199.95. There's a million sizes. Do what Jennifer did. Check the size chart. Make sure you order correctly off the size chart, and you might be pretty accurate. But I know she's very happy with them. We rode for a couple hours. She came back and wasn't complaining. So there you go. What more could you want?
Excellent. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Coach Jen, host of Horse Tip Daily. Head on over to horsetipdaily.com to find all 1,600 tips over there at horsetipdaily.com. Thanks, Jen. Well, as I said, go to horselovers.com for all of your shopping needs. That's it for this week. We're done. I have to get out of here. I'm going to a podcasting meeting down in Tampa, so I have a 2-hour drive ahead of me. Thank you so much, Helena, for joining in. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, as always.
Sparklandboom.com, that newportshow.com, one of those. You can find Helena's other shows. Take a listen and learn all about boat building in the latest episode. And that's it for this week. Let's just go.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot. Don't forget to come back next week because there will be more. Until then, happy scooping.